Luke 23:44 says, "By this time it was noon, and darkness fell across the whole land until 3 o'clock. The light from the sun was gone, and suddenly the curtain in the sanctuary of the temple was torn down the middle, and Jesus shouted, 'Father, I entrust my spirit into your hands.' And with those words he breathed his last." So over this last month, we've been talking about story, talking about human story, suffering, celebrating, all that happens in one's life. And throughout the theme of this idea of story, I've really kind of grabbed a hold of this idea of what's human about you is what's human about me, and we can find common ground there. And I just was recognizing as I was reflecting and reading on the story of the crucifixion, which is such an important piece of Christ's story, that it's this very moment where Christ's story intersects our story and allows us to even say these words and find this community in recognizing our humanness, because it is in this moment that he penetrates that humanness and the pain and the suffering and the hurt that comes with our sinful nature, and he takes it on and becomes a part of his story. And it's that's our ultimate common ground and foundational piece of being human, is being redeemed and finding salvation in Christ. The story of his crucifixion is also a beautiful way of relating to our story in the midst of suffering. Jesus was beaten, he was mocked, he was taken to die the most painful and shameful death that one could imagine. So he can identify with suffering. He has suffering in his story. So in the moments of suffering in our own story, we can recognize and remember that we serve a God who's been there. He's felt it, he knows it. And that's another piece that we can find in common with one another, is that we can serve a God that suffers with us. I just want to encourage each of you today as we reflect on Good Friday of the pain and the gravity and the deep aching darkness on this day. It says darkness flooded the whole land in the middle of the day. It was a dark moment. The moment that Christ died is also the unifying moment that brings his people together, and recognizing that through his crucifixion, Christ intervened and intersected in each one of our lives, in the lives of all those who have lived and all those who have yet to live, and took on our pain as a part of his story.